Hi guys, welcome back. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a journal using different methods. I used the black cardstock and then I printed out different images online. I printed them out. One was just on regular copy paper, and then the other one I printed out on sticker paper so that I could stick it on there. So I'm going to use glue, I'm going to use copy paper, and then I'm also going to use staples to make my journals. So what I'm doing here is I'm counting pages. I recommend using anywhere from 10 to 15. I ended up doing 20, so it ended up being a little bit too much for the glue, but that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to count them and then I'm going to fold them in half and use glue for the first method. So what I'm doing here is using binder clips. I'm going to go ahead and bind it just to make sure that everything is in order and that I can go ahead and use the glue where I need it to be placed. Make sure when you do this, you leave plenty of time for the glue to dry up. I didn't always do that and some of it would fall out, but if you do give it plenty of time to dry out, then none of the papers should fall out. So I'm going to go ahead and apply hot glue. I recommend that you put more than what I did on there. I ended up having to go back with E3000 to make sure that all of the pages stuck together. If you do want to use the hot glue, just make sure you use plenty. Don't be sparse with it the way that I was. Make sure that you apply plenty. So what I'm doing here is while the hot glue is still hot, I went ahead and I applied the washi tape on there. I ended up picking a metallic washi tape that I thought was really pretty just to hold it in place. So what I'm going to do next is make sure that the black cardstock fits it. So I'm measuring it and then I'm going to go back with my tape, double-sided tape. I'm going to go ahead and apply it on the first page to make sure that the cardstock sticks on there. And then I'm going to go ahead and use more binder clips to hold it in place. Then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to the back. I'm going to use the double-sided tape, make sure that the edges align with it, and then I'm going to put the cardstock on the back. Then I'm going to remove all of the binder clips and put them along the edge just to ensure that the binding stays put. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take scissors and just cut along the edges, cutting the excess washi tape and any paper that sticks out. Now you can go ahead and cut corners and make it round. I didn't mind the way that it was here, so I left it as is. The next thing that I'm going to do once it's dried up is go ahead and put more washi along the edges in the binding just to make it look prettier. Like I said, I really like this washi tape. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take the image that I printed out and I'm going to go ahead and glue it onto the cardstock so that I can put that on as the cover. So I'm taking the cardstock here and measuring it to make sure that it fits, and then I'm going to take a ruler to fold the cardstock in half to make sure that it gets folded correctly before gluing the image on. Okay, then the second method that I'm going to use is using staples without a stapler. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to count the pages again, but I'm going to do that after I folded the cardstock in half so that I know what size the pages have to be. Once again, what I'm doing is counting the pages. I recommend less than 20 because when you do fold it, you end up getting twice the amount. So what I'm doing here is counting them. It's about 20 pages that I counted. Then I'm going to fold it in half to make sure that it fits with the cardstock. Then you can take any sharp object that you have to punch holes through the paper. What I did was I used these tweezers to put holes through the paper so that I could go ahead and just put the piece of staple inside it so that it would bind it and then I could fold it. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually taking the staple and then I'm measuring it using the tweezers so that I know where to punch a hole. Now what I recommend is that you take the staple itself, you mark it with a marker, and then you go ahead and you push it down on the paper so that you know exactly where you need to push the holes through. Now it is important that you ensure that you do punch the holes through all of the papers in order to make sure that the staple goes through and it'll bind along with the cardstock. And then you end up having a journal that's portable and you don't have to worry about any of the pages falling out because you do bend the back of the staple once everything is done. Now what I did next is I put it all with the cardstock cover, and then the next thing that I'm going to do is put a hole through the cardstock itself so that I can ensure that the staple gets bound to the journal. So what you're seeing me do here is using a push pin to make sure that the hole went all the way through. So I kind of had a hard time with one of the staples, so I had to go back with the push pin to ensure that all of the holes went through on the right spot, so that the push pin made the hole easy. So what you're gonna see me do here is I'm gonna mark the staple so that I can ensure that the paper gets marked in the proper spot. So what I'm doing here now is I'm inserting the staple into all of the pages, and then I'm going to insert it into the cardstock, and then I'm going to go ahead and fold the staple to make sure that the pages don't fall out. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to take the sticker that I had with the image, and then I'm going to go ahead and stick it on the cardstock and then fold it. I'm going to go ahead and take a metallic marker, and I'm going to go ahead and write an inspirational quote on my journal.